Hi everyone, I'm Shane Stevenson, Director of Museum Collections and Curator here at the Buffalo Naval Park. And this was going to be a video I was going to do last week. We got sidetracked, but now I'm on the first platform in USS The Sullivans, our Fletcher-class destroyer, and you can see I can't go much forward. All right, so this is the peak tank area, though technically the peak tank would be down. And so what the peak tank was a trim tank. All right, it could be empty. They could leave it empty, or they could fill it with some water to give it that extra ballast and a little stabilization while they were in rough seas. You know, as an example, when they're in rough seas, to give it a little more weight and some counterbalance there. So we're going to be referencing, I've got my little guide here. This was a damage control chart. Not only am I alone in this space, but I am alone in the park. This is after hours for everybody else, so I got to be a little on the careful side. There's some interesting spaces I'd love to take you, but you know, just for safety purposes, we'll see how that goes. Okay, so referencing this area now, we are in the Bos'n stores and lamp room. All right, so what this means is this is where the block and tackle would have been stored, as we see some examples right here. All right, this would also have been where battle lanterns could have been stored. All right, the running lights, the stern light. So this could have been an area, this was an area where battle lanterns, lamps, lights, like a light locker today, we would call kind of like a light locker. All right, I assume these brackets potentially could be for some lighting. I don't know offhand, but could be for the lighting or battle lanterns, and they could have sat on this little shelf here. All right, and as you can see, we're at bulkhead 6. All right, so we again are very close to the peak of USS The Sullivans. What do we got going on down there? Oh, okay, yeah. So behind me here, we'll be leading into the anchor windlass. With also, if you take a look at that damage control chart, right here on starboard, we have the medical stores that they had on board. More Bos'n stores here. Again, for rope, block and tackle, anything really to do with the deck seamanship. And then that leads into the anchor windlass here. All right, if you've watched one of our videos prior, I climbed down here, and look at that standing water. I climbed down there as we had standing water, and I patched it up. But again, that was before, wow, okay. That was before the work was done. And so the work that they were doing popped another hole. And that's actually pretty deep, because you can see right there is another hatch that leads down to the hold. So when I've been in the hold before, that is probably about 4 feet deep, and then we have water coming over the hatch right there that you can see I'm moving. You know, it's in its upright position, non-secured position, and then we probably have a foot or so above that. But if we head forward again, you'll see this hatch right here. That will lead us down to the second platform. We'd be looking at more stores, and a trunk, which is the trunk that we just left right there. So I am going to climb down here, and we'll be on the second platform. This is an area I'd really love to go right here. But I am not doing this by myself. I guess that's pretty wise, huh? Leave me a comment. Should I go down there or not by myself? So again, a lot of supply division stores, dry stores, clothing, things like that. Bos'n's lockers up here. Anything relating to do with deckmanship, ropes, lines, mooring, block and tackle. Up here, medical stores. But for now, we're going to climb down here, so we'll see you in a minute. All right, everyone, after an adventurous climb down the ladder here, right there, right to here, onto the hatch, I am now in compartment A301-2A. And thankfully we have this really nice, most of them on board are not nice. We have the compartment checkoff list here. It's actually in really good condition. So you'll see on that damage control chart that this is again supply stores. All right, here we have the pipes for the chains, right there and there, leading down, and you're not going to believe this, or maybe you will, into the chain locker, but look at that. I feel like getting out my bowers and going for a skate. So there's an anchor there, completely encased in ice. Here's an anchor here, completely encased. And even up forward, more SD service stores. Right down here, as you can see, that is completely iced over. Again, there might be about 2-3 feet below that, right to the hold. But again, you see the railings right there and there. But it doesn't go back very far. All right, it doesn't continue into the chain locker. All right, as you can see, there's the bulkhead. This is a good example of these frames that we talk about. All right, the framing, the longitudinal framing, there and there. So in another video, I think it was the snow video, I said I think there's 14. I don't have it offhand, but I think there's 14 of these longitudinal frames that go from the garboard or the keel right up through the strakes. Here's another one right here. So actually, as we're standing on the second platform, you can see that we're pretty dry, which is nice. Frame 11. But if we were to go down into the chain locker itself, all right, again, get out my bowers. I was a right-handed defenseman for 14 years. I played hockey, so I feel very comfortable. I feel very comfortable there. All right. Well, I'm going to head back up, and we're going to head somewhere else. So now you'll get a better look at what I was showing you earlier. Oh, there we go. So you'll see where the water comes up. Now with my light, you might just be able to make out the hole in the deck, the hatch. Maybe not. That might be the reflection. But there you go. So there's another hold underneath there. You know, the system here, the fencing, that could only mean one thing. That's another supply division stores over there, and there's the door for it. And here we are as well. So we've got this really nice system here. All right, still labeled. We got DD forms, Navy communications. So this looks like it was paperwork. And also, if we take a look in these drawers, it almost looks like these would be for files, or like 3x5 cards, right, with these notches. But yeah, all the appropriate shelving. Okay, everyone, so to recap, we're in the anchor windlass near the peak. I didn't want to go down to that one space, so if you guessed it right, I'm not going to do that without help. And so we've got trunks up here, the peak tanks, which they could fill or leave empty to if they wanted more trim ballast, they could bring in water into those trim tanks. They're just forward from here. Actually, right here, through the forward bulkhead is the chain locker. All right, so that kind of gives you a level that where we're at. Again, the SD stores, supply division stores, Bos'n stores. There's even a medical store here, so some of those medical supplies would be stored forward here. And now we are at frame 18. All right, so again, still pretty forward of the ship. And thanks for coming on this video. We love to have your comments. We love your support. And this is why, well, now you see we have an ice skating rink in the chain locker. All right, so that's why your support is so crucial. And thank you to everyone again who's been so supportive of the channel. And even if you've given a donation or done financial commitments, we really appreciate it. This is one of the most important ships in the museum ship fleet. Because of the 5 brothers, and there's just been, I hate to say, there's just been a lot of neglect over the past 40 years. I think the board was just under the impression, you know, in the 70s and 80s that we got the ship, we could just leave it, no maintenance or preventative work, and now 43 years later we see what's happened. So thankfully to the current board, who is working diligently to raise funds with Paul Marzello, our CEO, raise funds and get this work done so we don't have this in the future. Thanks very much, everyone, and we'll see you again tomorrow.